Today we're going to be doing a lesson on ordering fractions. So far you have looked at equivalent fractions and how to compare them. Today we're going to be comparing more than two fractions and place them in an order from least to greatest. Suppose I have these fractions, 2/5, 1/2, and 3/5. I can compare them by first just looking at a drawing of them. I'm going to draw three boxes that are the exact same length. That makes for just a little bit easier to look at them. The first box is I'm going to divide into fifths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sections. And I'm going to color in 2 of the boxes. This gives me 2/5. The next one I'm going to break into 2 boxes, one just right down the middle. And I'm going to color in one of those, giving me a fraction of 1/2. The next box I'm going to again divide into fifths. 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, and I'm going to shade in 3 of them. By drawing this out like this, I can easily see that from least to greatest, 2/5, 1/2, and then 3/5 is the correct order. Let's try another one. Here I have the fractions 2/3, 1/2, and 5/12. I again can draw 3 boxes of the same length to visually show these fractions. Okay, here I've drawn out my boxes, and now I'm going to start shading them. 2/3, 1/2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's only 5. Okay. Now, if I'm wanting to order these from the smallest to the largest, so least to greatest, I'm going to start with the smallest, which is 5/12, and then 1/2, and then 2/3. And this works fine, but I'm going to tell you, when I was trying to separate the boxes to make 5/12, it took me a couple of tries because there were so many boxes that I had to try and place it right. So it took me a couple of tries. So this does take a little bit longer. Let's try another set. I'm going to draw 3 boxes, all of equal length, and then divide them into the appropriate denominators. So the first one is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the next one I'm going to divide into thirds. And then the last one is, again, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now I'm going to start by shading in 5 of the 6. And 1/3. And now 1/6. Okay? From least to greatest. The smallest is 1/6. The next is 1/3. And the greatest is 5/6. So again, here's one way to do it. Take this set of fractions, 7/8, 3/8, and 3/4, and I'm going to pause this video and I'm going to have you practice doing this on your own. Start by making 3 boxes and divide them into the appropriate denominators. After drawing the boxes and ordering them from the least to the greatest, is this what you came up with? Okay, so drawing everything out is a nice way of doing things. But I'm going to go ahead and step up and I'm going to show you the more mathematical way that's going to end up being a lot faster once you get the hang of it. A while ago we practiced with multiples. And remember, multiples are numbers that you multiply to get an answer. So if I'm finding the multiples of 3, 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4, 12. 3 times 5, 15. I'm just going to stop there. Then if I'm finding the multiples of 12, 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2, 24. I'm going to stop there because I'm already seeing a number that they have in common. So now I'm going to go with 4 until I see if I can get 12 as well. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2, 8. 4 times 3, 12. Perfect. So now I'm finding that I have a common multiple between all 3 of these. So this becomes my common denominator. Perfect. Okay. Now that I have my common denominator identified, it's very easy to just go through and come up with equivalent fractions for each one of these. So I'm going to start here. 3 times 4 got me 12. So 2 times 4 is 8. 12 times 1 is 12. So 3 times 1, whoops. So 3 times 1 is 3. That one doesn't have to change at all. 4 times 3 is 12. So 3 times 3 is 9. Now that I have all of these as a common denominator, it's very easy to order them from the least to the greatest because all I'm doing is looking at the numerator. So the smallest number, 3. The middle number is an 8, which leads me to 2/3. And my greatest number is 9, which leads me to 3/4. Now I have a list of fractions, 7/10, 1/5, and 4/10. I'm going to look at my numerators, I'm going to look at my denominators, 10, 5, and 10, and I'm going to come up with a common denominator. So, what is a multiple or a number that these all have in common? Well, I can look at the multiples. 7/10. Oh, I just really need to look at 10. 10 times 1, 10. 10 times 2, 20. I really don't feel like I need to go any higher. So now 5. 5 times 1, 5. 5 times 2, 10. Whoop. Done. So my common denominator is 10. So now I'm just going to prepare to rewrite these fractions as equivalent fractions. I don't need to do anything to 7/10 because 10 times 10, 10 times 1 is 10, so 7 times 1 is 7. I don't need to do anything to 4/10 because, again, 10 times 1 is 10, so 4 times 1 is 4. So here, 5 times 2 is 10, so 1 times 2 is 2. Well, now I can very easily put these into order by only comparing the numerators. So, from least to greatest, my smallest number is 2, my middle number is 4, and my biggest number is 7. Okay, I actually need to go back and erase because my fraction is not 2/10, but better 1/5. But it doesn't change where it is because 2/10 is equivalent to 1/5. Here I have the fractions 2/3, 1/4, and 1/6. I am going to come up with a common denominator by finding multiples. So I'm going to start with 3. I'm going to go to 4, and then through 6. Take just a moment while I pause this video and list the first 5 multiples of each of these numbers. Is this what you got? Let's go ahead and circle the smallest number that they have in common. Beautiful. This becomes our common denominator. Take just a minute while I pause this video to come up with equivalent fractions for 2/3, 3/4, and 1/6, giving them the common denominator of 12. Here's the first hint to get you started. 3 times something equals 12. So 2 times something equals blank. After creating equivalent fractions, you should have come up with 8/12, 9/12, and 2/12. Now I can put them in order from the least to the greatest by simply looking at the numerators. So here we go. The smallest is 2/12, but the original fraction was 1/6. The second number was 8/12, but the original fraction was 2/3. The greatest fraction was 9/12, and the original fraction for that was 3/4. So here are my fractions listed in order from least to greatest. Let's do some more practicing. Let's first start by finding a common denominator by listing out the multiples. Starting with 4, list the multiples for 6, and then list the multiples for 2. Let's do the first 5. Okay, so here I've listed the first 5 multiples of each, and I see that 4 and 6 have a common multiple of 12. But in the first 5, 2 does not have a multiple of 12. But if I keep going one more spot, boop, there it is. So now I have a common denominator of 12. Take a moment and come up with 3 equivalent fractions, 1 for 1/4, 1/6, and 1/2. These are the equivalent fractions, 3/12, 2/12, and 6/12. Now put them in order from the least to the greatest. That comes out to 1/6, 1/4, and 1/2. You have just done practice with ordering fractions using common denominators.
A walleye, which is great, so that gave us dinner.